That's right. He 6-pooled in 2 of his 3 games, and he actually won 2 of his 3 games. So sometimes it just works out so well.
He beat NTT 6-pool and then played Lucifron and beat Lucifron by 6-pooling.
By 6-pooling on the big stage, that's obviously going to be a great run for him in the tournament. But let's see how the 6-pooling turns out in the octafinals tonight. For now, we are going to be beginning with MorroW against Savant. It's going to be on Xel'Naga Caverns. For any of you who did not know the map selection process, it is going to be each player chooses 2 maps to remove from the map pool, and then each player chooses 1 to remove from the map pool, leaving only 1 remaining. So we have seen a lot of Xel'Naga Caverns thus far. Yeah,
we've seen a lot. We saw it so many times yesterday, and it's going to be the first map, as you said. This should be quite an interesting game. MorroW actually now competing in a large tournament. For a long time, he actually told all invitees that, no, I don't want to play in your tournament because I'm not ready. Because I switched to Zerg, I need some time to get ready. Now he's finally ready to play on the main stage in front of all your fans, all people watching on stream.
Yeah.
They're ready to play, and he's going to be playing against quite a decent Terran too. Number 1 Terran even, sorry, in Holland.
Yeah.
And that's quite a feat to have, especially with having players like NTT coming from there as well. So it's going to be definitely an interesting game.
Yeah, now for any of you who didn't know, there was a little bit of drama surrounding MorroW because after his win at Gamescom over Idra, he decided that he was going to play Zerg because this was during the era when Zergs were feeling very weak and having a lot of trouble. So he will be playing Terran or Zerg depending on the map and depending on the matchup. So now that we have a Servant joining the game now, it looks like both players have selected Terran.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure MorroW will switch. I spoke to him like literally 10 minutes before I came up here, and he was ready to play. He says that he is ready to play as Zerg and will try his best. So it should be a Zerg versus Terran on this map. And like I was saying before, Servo is actually a really good Terran player. Usually he hasn't been that known within the community because he decides not to play one-day cups because he feels like it's a waste of time. Because you have to grind out so long to actually get to the finals, and even if you do, you have this small shot of winning $100 or something. So he really didn't like playing one-day tournaments, but most recently he started playing in EPS, he's playing in Dutch tournaments, and now actually competing in DreamHack.
Yeah, you know, and I definitely think that that's something that it happens pretty frequently with a lot of really tip-top players who know the value of practicing, who don't just sort of game casually, who aren't comfortable with doing the just general huge schedule of games packed tight into one day. They like to prepare, like to put a lot of thought into each game, because definitely Gamescom, even you and I saw that at like the players' party, where everyone's dancing to techno music and having themselves a brew. He was sitting at the computer on the main stage just training.
I know, he was like training with Huck actually, if I remember correctly. Him and Huck were just on stage practicing, ready for the next day.
And you know, I'm hesitant to hit this game because both players have said they're ready, but MorroW's still choosing Terran. Just want to make absolutely certain that he is going to be choosing that race because, again, he has changed it so much in the most recent times. But we're just going to get one more final confirmation from the players.
You'll find out soon enough, apparently.
All right,
so
well,
it looks like he's ready.
He's going to go find out in the countdown. So without any further ado, let's begin our first game of the day, some Group C action of MorroW against Servant. Give a cheer for MorroW if you want the mystery Zerg player. Oh, he chooses Zerg at the last second. That is something he would do. And of course, ServyOa is going to be Terran. First map, Xel'Naga Caverns.
Yes, it is Xel'Naga Caverns. We're going to see where both players spawn. But we do have ServyOa. I don't even know how to say his name. ServyOa.
It's actually listed quite different in many different situations. And look at this right off the bat. ServyOa already saying, do you want to just do this one more time? Because it turns out MorroW did spawn Zerg. Again, at around the 4-second mark, he said, not feeling Terran, and just switched it down to the Zerg pieces.
No, he's like sat on the fence. He's like, Terran, Zerg, Terran. Oh, all right, let's just go Zerg. He does choose Zerg. Will be interesting, as I said, to see his style. Nobody's seen MorroW play at high level. I was commentating in England a couple of weeks ago and had a show match with MorroW versus the Muslim on this map, actually. And MorroW, I don't think he was quite ready to play against such a formidable opponent, but now he is ready, and we're playing against Serv. And we're going to have to see what kind of style he does bring to this game.
Absolutely. Now, of course, the big struggle for MorroW is, again, going to be the fact that not only did he play Terran originally in StarCraft 2, but also played Terran in Brood War, and Zerg has a very unique sort of logic to it. The big struggle with Zerg, what makes Zerg a hard race is, do I spend my larva on drones, or do I spend my larva on units? So there's a lot of funky timings with Terran. You can do constant SCV production.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually the key point, as you were saying, between a good Zerg player and one of the best Zerg players. They just know exactly when to build units, when to build drones. And I'm probably going to guess we are going to see the hatch first, so we are going to see 15 hatch being put down by MorroW, and it doesn't look like Serv wants to try and deny this with any engineering bay or anything like that, so he's going to be able to put it down quite safely and probably going to go for 14 spawning pool.
Yep, very, very common to throw down early hatcheries on this map, and notice how safely MorroW's playing this off, first hooking to the left to scout for any sort of cheese, and then scouting by this gold, which is also a very popular cheese location. There's Servy, who's finishing his barracks at the front of his base, has the gas geyser going down, spawning pool going down for MorroW on 14, just as you predicted, you witty Britishman.
I know, 15 hatch, 14 pool.
Who'd have thought? Your clairvoyance is on the money this morning.
The thing with this map, Day9, is that if you look where the overlord placement is in the middle of the map, if Serv was actually to waypoint a Marine to the middle of the map, he could actually just pick that off. I've played a lot of Terran to do that, and we are seeing the Marine coming out. He's going to get this drone, I think, which is a pretty good start. No, actually, the drone is going to get away.
Oh, escapes with one shot remaining.
Yeah,
very nice little micro tactic there by MorroW.
MorroW's probably going to, he should be wanting to put gas down pretty soon. Around 18 is the usual time for this kind of build to get the gas down, depending on how he wants to play this out. But now ServyOa is actually sending the SCV to the left-hand side. I'm not sure what he's going to be doing with this, if he's just going to keep it there and go for further scouting in a little bit, and it looks like he is. 2 Marines in the middle of the map trying to do a little mission.
Now remember that MorroW is the sort of player who loves early pressure as Terran, loves doing any sort of goofy cheesiness, so this is going to be his automatic best matchup as Zerg. He knows all the timings that he was able to threaten people when he played Terran, so he will be defending against those. So it looks like he is in the clear. 2 queens coming out right now for MorroW, a very fast tech lab add-on for ServyOa, and that's a little bit unusual, I think, to get a tech lab that quickly. Do you have any thoughts on what ServyOa could be doing?
I have no idea, actually. It looks like he's going to switch with the factory. That was kind of, I mean, the timing was a little bit off, which kind of threw me off, but he will be putting it down on the factory, and I would suspect that he will be getting the Hellion upgrade. I doubt he'll be going for siege mode. The blue flame is such an important upgrade in this matchup, and it looks like he is going to be going for it, I think, because the Hellion is being built. He just needs 150 minerals to start researching that. And then the command center is going down, so it's like a one factory expo.
Yeah, very, very cute play right here by ServyOa. Yep, there now is the Blue Flame upgrade, as we call it, that does plus 10 damage to light units, so you blast through Zerglings and drones. But it looks like MorroW is instead favoring a little bit of the Roach-heavy opening, getting that Warren up, and ooh, a little bit of a blunder there by MorroW, letting that SCV get that far into his main. So definitely got a chance as ServyOa to see exactly what MorroW was doing, but I do like the Roach opening. Roaches, with their range, can shut down that Hellion harass, can deal with those Marines quite well, and because they don't use very much larva, you have a lot of free time in order to set up extra drones.
Yeah, players like to, well, players always started off using Speedlings as defense against Hellions and stuff like this, but I do think that going for Roaches is a lot safer option. But you always have to be careful. Players do anticipate this and then go for kind of Banshee builds. But luckily, actually, as I say that, we are having a starport being put down with a tech lab on the barracks right next to it. So we might see Banshees coming out to actually counteract these Roaches.
Wow, this is very, very cute play by ServyOa. He doesn't have that many units, but he is very foolproof to pretty much any early pressure. When the Mutalisks pop out, that is when the threats will begin. There's the bunker going down for ServyOa. Very far back placed bunker. Even still relying on a little wall off here. And just as you were saying, 2 for 2 today, Dr. Diapollo. There goes down the Banshee. And perhaps Cloak is coming up soon, perhaps not. A lot of players don't even like to use Cloak, just like to do a little bit of harassment and back on up. Yeah,
and it looks like this Roach is just going to scout. It looks like it should be taken down by these Hellions if it does see it. I'm not sure if he actually knows exactly where it's gone, but he's going to come down. He might be able to pick off an SCV, actually, with this one Roach, which could be interesting.
The famous scouting Roach, yes, and it looks like he gets a few shots off. Whoa, manages to pick off an SCV before exploding.
SCV gets the kill steal on that Roach.
Oh, how brutal.
I know, that's so bad. But as you were saying with the Cloak, I actually don't think getting Cloak against Zerg is important to do. Because getting Overseers is so easy to do. And it's just not really cost effective to go for it. But at the same time, if you want to control this on the top left-hand side, we have the 4 Hellions with the Flame upgrade coming in for a sneak attack down onto MorroW's mineral line.
Now, what he could be doing is he could just be hanging out here until he sees MorroW is moving out on the offensive. He can control these watchtowers, but no, it looks like he's darting in right now, and MorroW hasn't reacted yet. Oh, there go down a few drones. Oh no, MorroW hasn't reacted yet. He's losing a lot of drones, and oh, he tries to go for the blocks with the drones, and look at this, ServyOa pulling right back in time, just leaving a few roasted drone carcasses, and that was a pretty significant hit to the economy of MorroW.
And at the same time, he has a Banshee in the back of his main base too, and doing more damage to the mineral line. 2 drones go down. 3 in it, and it wouldn't surprise me if he just decides to send in the Hellions once again for another attack. He does decide to pull out though. Banshee getting 3 kills, but combine that with the Hellion kills, that's quite a lot of damage being done to his economy.
And this is a very, very impressive game thus far by ServyOa, who, as it turns out, appeared he was predicting a Terran opponent in this round. Was quite surprised to see that MorroW did end up selecting Zerg, but we can already see MorroW's doing a lot of great techniques with Zerg, spreading the creep out. Look at the Overlords in the main, all extending that creep as well. He's very well defended. He has a lot of vision. There's the Zergling speed upgrade going down, and Spire is almost finished. And this is going to be the defense time for ServyOa, as we see he has almost no Marines, actually just has 9 of them. So once there is a huge amount of those Mutalisks coming out, it's going to be a little hard for ServyOa to go on the defense.
And we have 4 Hellions in the main of his base coming in for more drone kills. I don't know, he got 2, 3 down. He's doing a lot of damage. You should be able to lift him up though if he feels that he's under too much pressure. He does lift 2 up in the orange health. But as soon as that Spire has completed, and look at the production tab, 6 Mutalisks are on their way out, and they will help defend against this Mutalisk harassment.
And it looks like he's going for a few more hits, and it looks like he will finally end up losing everything. He would love to be able to retreat that medevac, but the Queens on the creep are quite fast. He does manage to escape. There's that Banshee scooting to the right side against such good harassment by ServyOa. And even though it's very, very strong, he had to invest a lot into that harassment. Not just with the fact that he was spending a lot of resources on it, but also that he was using that critical starport and factories. That means fewer medevacs, fewer tanks, and it cut into the Marine production as well. So ServyOa has to be extremely well positioned to hold off these mutas.
He actually doesn't have that many units, but he's such a good player. His timings on the turrets were perfect. Just finished now, just as the Mutalisks pop out and start to make their way down to the base, the turrets do finish. Excellent timing by Serv in this game, and he's now starting to concentrate on the army production to start building up a force to take down MorroW. But MorroW is now gearing to take down his third. He's getting rid of his destructible rocks to take down his third base.
Yeah, you know, I wish there was a building counting station in this game, because really ServyOa is doing a great job staying low on the turrets. 1, 2, 3 turrets total getting thrown down. Very, very good. Extremely thin defense, but because he has all these Marines and medevacs well placed, it turns out to be okay. It's so easy to spend 800 or 900 on turrets, because you're just so scared of losing the game that eventually it comes back to bite you in the later stages. But ServyOa getting a second factory as well, and MorroW swinging around for a little bit of Mutalisk harassment.
I know, he's just sitting outside the base. I'm not sure if he's going to go in though, but the turret placement by Serv is, as you were saying, is so good. He only has 3, and 3 is enough to defend against any form of harassment along with these Marines. But it looks like Serv might be moving out. I'm not sure if this is going to go for a gear full-out attack, as he is leaving the... Oh, he is leaving the tanks behind. He just stims once to try and chase these Mutalisks out, just to get some insight onto what's going on, as he doesn't really know exactly what MorroW's doing. He doesn't see if MorroW's even got a third yet, but it looks like MorroW's getting ready to take a fourth.
Yeah, MorroW knocking down his gold expansion, Xel'Naga Caverns, because it is so huge. You have plenty of space to take those extra expos. And oh, there's a bunch of Banelings that just finished. There's also the plus carapace attack, helping to absorb damage from those Marines. And more importantly, the tanks. If you get the +1 carapace upgrade, Zerglings take 2 shots to die to tanks instead of 1. So extremely important to get that upgrade up.
Yeah, not many Marauders in the composition. That's what we are seeing a lot of Terran players do most recently. Especially if we look back at how Clyde plays in the GSL. He's always building Marines and tanks, and that looks how heavy the Serv is going to go for, especially if you can control your Marines perfectly, keep them within the tank range, so you can always bust the Banelings with your tanks. Marines do so much damage. It looks like that's the kind of position he wants to go for, and he's going to gear up to take his third, going to knock down the Destructible Rocks. I think is the best decision for him to go for, especially with the Planetary Fortress to make that ultra safe.
Yeah, he might even invest in the gold, though, because he can keep this right flank a little bit more defended, and it looks like he is gearing up to attack along this center area. And look at that mini-map. MorroW spreading creep so well, has Overlords all over the side of the map. Is sending out 1 Scout Marine. It does get picked off because MorroW just has great vision control, and it does look like ServyOa's going for a little bit more of a passive style of play. We see that he's getting a second factory, favoring Thors, getting some tanks, getting that +1 attack upgrade. And with his command center just now finished, I think this is going to be the first time ServyOa really wants to move out comfortably to attack.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of Terran players make the mistakes of doing, is they push out too early, too prematurely, and they just lose everything to the small army of Zerg. And then they're on the back foot because they take such a long time to get a heavy Terran army up. And it looks like he is going to be taking the gold, as you said. And he should be in good position, especially if he gets the Planetary Fortress down here. He can definitely power off 3 bases and start to put a lot of pressure into MorroW.
Yeah, and I love the fact that, you know, that key mistake you identified yesterday, we saw a player target fire the destructible rocks, and then get flanked, and the tanks continue to fire at the destructible rocks instead of at the other army. We clearly see ServyOa not doing that, waiting for that planetary fortress to get up. And if we go to the resource station, we see that both players are rapidly approaching max, but I think you're going to be a little uncomfortable in MorroW's situation because he's preparing for a mid-game push, getting a lot of Zerglings, Banelings, and Mutalisks. But as we see, no real push has happened yet, and oh, that's one of the most uncomfortable ways to find an expansion. As you fly Mutalisks into the finished planetary fortress and turrets. And it looks like we do see the scan going down. Oh man, ServyOa really having a great read on his opponent, but hasn't put any pressure on yet.
No, and as you say that, he is moving out with a medivac on the left-hand side of the map, a small drop to try and destroy this base. Mutalisks are incoming though. It looks like MorroW's kind of expecting this, and he will be able to take this down, and Servy's going to lose a lot of units in supply and does no damage at all.
Very nice little play there by MorroW, picking that off. A lot of Zerg players always like to have 20 or so Mutalisks lying around because it is really the only extremely effective way to deal with drops. There's no Scourge in Brood War. There's no real fast air units except for the Mutalisks. And ServyOa looks like he's gearing up to do some more dropping action. But look at MorroW abusing that creep spread that he has, setting up all these Zerglings. The two Banelings going to try to roll in. They might not even be necessary. Gets taken out again, and ServyOa, who's building up his big army of doom, is probably going to be feeling a little bit more uncomfortable as time progresses.
Yeah, and that's probably the reason why he isn't pushing out. He's just waiting for the upgrades to finish before he does move out at all. But the thing is, that's what happens if you do this. You sit back and allow Zerg to mass up. He has so many bases now, 5 bases altogether, almost ready to take this gold. The perfect scan realizes this. It looks like now this is the time that Serv needs to push out before the gold kicks in.
Oh, both players maxed right now. ServyOa has all the units that he wants set up. He's getting a little too aggressive with the tanks. They're not sieged up in time. Here come the Zerglings and the Banelings. Fungal growth at the back. The Banelings can't quite swing into the front, but they do a great amount of damage. I still can't quite tell who's going to come out on top of this battle. And oh my goodness, ServyOa manages to take the lead in this bout in production. Mutalisks and Zerglings being produced by MorroW. He only has 2 Mutalisks remaining, and there are a lot of Marines out at this point in time, but the tank count is quite low. And oh, 2 Thors coming up. The +3 armor or attack upgrade for infantry, +2 for that factory. It's going to be very, very tough to deal with. We're seeing ServyOa split his units up again and go into passive mode. I don't know if I like this.
Yeah, I don't like this at all. I mean, he's trying to drop this base, but these spine crawlers in good position. Actually, they're in terrible positions.
Like great position.
I'm like, oh wait, no. And they're actually going to clean this up, and he's going to have to lift up and leave. But that attack, even though MorroW did drop down in a ton of supply, it's so easy to replenish your army as Zerg compared to Terran, and it's going to take Serv a long time to actually get his army back up to where it was before, but his upgrades are looking extremely mean. +2 vehicle weapons has just finished as well. So +2 infantry and +2 vehicle weapons. He's stimming. It looks like he's trying to get to this gold again. This Infest is going to get sniped off, and he is going in for this Zerg base.
I don't really see any Banelings anywhere. It's just Zerglings and Mutalisks, and the Marines get caught off guard at the front with a fungal growth. Zerglings and Mutalisks swinging in. Thors are not that great against Mutalisks that they can be spread out well enough. But here come a whole bunch of Marines from the backside. The Banelings get pulled back at the last second. ServyOa is continuing to push forward slowly but effectively.
Slowly but effectively, and he is doing the job. 147 supply now for MorroW, 137 for Serv, but he has a good position on the map, especially with all these tanks in great position. He's got to be careful not to lose them, though. These Marines are just doing so much damage, especially with these medivacs that have a lot of energy to consistently heal them.
Doing so much damage. There's another great fungal growth. More Banelings and Zerglings trying to roll in, but a little bit of disorganization by MorroW, not in the best spot. Oh, he scans the Banelings to figure out that he is in fact being killed by them. And there's a bunch of Zerglings darting in there. Looks like it's going to clean up these tanks. No, it looks like ServyOa is still continuing to press forward with that +2 attack upgrade. It is so hard to finally pick off. But look at the great macro by MorroW, just sending streams of Zerglings and Banelings into these forces.
On the APM of both players, it was up. MorroW was up to 350 APM on the counter then, trying to help defend this position. Oh, he's got to be careful not to run these Marines into these Banelings. Banelings doing so much damage. Nice pulling back though, getting off the creep, and that's vital. Excellent split.
Look at that split by ServyOa, doing some great little defense there. And this is a very interesting non-stop battle situation we have here at the left side. Was feeling very uncomfortable with ServyOa's decision-making at the start of the game. He waited until he was maxed to push. We said at the start of the game, the whole thing that makes Zerg hard is, do you want to make drones or do you want to make units? So in other words, the opponent should always be attacking and forcing you to make the wrong thing. But ServyOa was so passive that MorroW got to set up in whatever position he wanted. So now ServyOa's feeling a little bit more and more uncomfortable as we do see 7 Ultralisks in the production tab.
7 Ultralisks. The thing that I'm just looking around MorroW's base is I think his lack of experience being a Zerg player at the high level is that he has so much energy on all his queens, and he's not actually lava injecting that much, and that is infecting his mineral count. He did, like a couple of minutes ago, he was up to 2,000 minerals, 2,000 gas. He could have just been waiting for the Ultralist, but he had so much energy and not that much lava around the map. And again, another conflict in the middle.
Uh-oh, looks like the Banelings are getting picked off quite nicely, and that was a great play by ServyOa because he's distracting for a drop. But those spine crawlers are still positioned not just to defend the drop, but to wall the drones off from mining minerals. So we do have ServyOa now moving in with this medevac to the backside. He's going to try to do a little harassment here, but MorroW is just so drop-proof, but ServyOa is refusing to give up.
He's refusing to give up. He is coming in once again. I'm not sure if he will be able to do a lot of damage, but the key thing that Serv is doing extremely well in this game is he's got his 4th now, and that's going to help out so much. He wants to get a 5th pretty soon as well. It looks like he's going to go in for a drop on this base on the left-hand side. He might be able to snipe this queen, actually, and that could be really huge.
Yeah, this drop on the left-hand side doing some good amount of damage, but that's actually going to be very key for ServyOa. The fact that he did see those Ultralisks were finished, and oh no, the Infestors are going to get taken out. Those units are so expensive on the gas. About 1 Ultralisk per Infestor, so if those end up dying, it is so much free gas. Gas is the hard resource to get in this game. It looks like that Ultra Cavern is rapidly losing a lot of resources. MorroW now trying to move in with this Roach to do a little bit of damage and try to take it out, and oh, the Ultralisk Cavern falls again. But as we see, MorroW is 4-1 on the upgrades and is just going for the big attack.
I'm not sure if this is the best thing to do. There are so many tanks now, +2, and MorroW is actually going to go in. This could be huge. I think this is a mistake for MorroW. He might be able to clean it up, though.
Oh my goodness, those tanks are doing so much damage. Ultralisks get obliterated. Look at the tank count by ServyOa.
He needs to snap, unsiege, and move straight up now. That's the correct reaction to this. I mean, he has so many units, and MorroW just lost everything. If I was Serv right now, I'd just unsiege and move straight up because he lost so much in supply, and that was a very, very bad decision for MorroW to move in there.
God, ServyOa has 4 factories churning out tanks, now taking down the destructible rocks to his own 4th expansion. And MorroW is trying to recoup, trying to rebuild back up, but he does not have... Oh my gosh, his drop is still doing damage in the corner, and ServyOa has another medevac up at the north, and MorroW is getting distracted at all fronts. Incredibly strong play by ServyOa in the late game.
Yeah, and especially because Serv actually hasn't played in that main tournament, as we were saying before, but it's shown us some really high-class Terran. Another drop on the left-hand side. Did manage to snipe that queen, now just doing damage. Might be able to go for some drones, but no, he's going to have to lift up and leave. But at the same time, Serv is now pushing out in the middle of the map, going for the killing blow.
Uh-oh, here come the tanks sieging up, and it looks like a bunch of Ultras are trying to sprint in. They will get the first shots off. Banelings rolling in, do not end up target firing the Marines. More units coming from the backside. Very nice fungal growth taking those out, but the Infestors are all disorganized. So far behind, MorroW is extremely low on food, only 120 to the 170 of his opponent. The Ultralisk comes in and splits in half. And with that many medevacs out on the field, even this small force of Marines and Marauders is going to be very difficult to break. +2 upgrades on the tanks, about to hit +3. It's doing 60 damage per shot. And once that +3 finishes, it's going to be a whopping 65 damage. But MorroW is just not giving up.
I know MorroW's hanging on, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to hang on to take this game, though. Serv is consistently putting pressure, and his macro is so good. Still up at 170 supply, losing units all the time, but consistently reinforcing, and now it looks like Serv is in a great position. MorroW only at 110 supply, and look at this drop on the top by the goal, doing a lot of damage to the drones, and just consistently harassing MorroW all over the map while building up this large army.
Look at these tanks just inching forward. Very nice positioning by ServyOa. What an awesome first match for the day to see this much pressure being put on in the late game, already approaching the 30-minute mark. There's the stim dart in. He's target firing the hatchery. Banelings rolling in. There's the stim retreat, and MorroW knows how strong those tanks are against Banelings. Doesn't want to risk it just yet, and the gold expansion falls for MorroW. Zerglings, Banelings, and Infestors trying to catch up, but look at the tanks just cleaning everything up. How does he get this many tanks? But one thing to note, we do see ServyOa's running very low on minerals. He only has this one bottom right base remaining, and MorroW still does have 2 running bases of his own. This left has not even really been pierced in the slightest. Just Zergling, Infestor, maybe MorroW can pull off a miracle.
It could be, because the supply is slowly dropping full serve now. He scans the right-hand side base at exactly the same time as you said that, and wants to put down this command center. But because of the overload is there, spawning creep everywhere, and it actually takes so long to get rid of creep that he's not going to be able to mine efficiently from that base for quite a while. He is moving units down, though, to try and get rid of these overlords so he can successfully get a second base up.
So we can see that the army is much smaller for MorroW, about half the size of the opponents. So what MorroW's going to be trying to do is to isolate little pieces of his opponent's army and eliminate those. But I mean, ServyOa is just all over the map. This is just such strong late game Terran.
And that's kind of the key location right now. This bottom right side around 3 o'clock is the key location for MorroW. As soon as that base starts up and running, he is in so much trouble because the production from Serv is going to shoot up once again. And he's actually fine with having his command center in this awkward position because of the creep. He doesn't really want to wait for the creep to go away. He's like, I need this money. I need this money right now to take out MorroW. And so he's fine with this position. And MorroW at 140 food, still struggling. And now I'm pretty sure that Serv is maxed out at 198.
Yeah, now ServyOa going in for a little bit of dropping action. But the one thing to note, even though, like you were saying, this 3 o'clock position is the huge key, the essential expansion on this map, don't forget about the fact that this main is completely undefended. This left flank is free. It's a good thing MorroW isn't anywhere close to me, or else he'll be able to hear exactly that little piece of advice, because he doesn't have the same sort of vision hack that we do as observers. There goes down the infested Terrans to pick off that medevac, but again, this is such a vulnerable late game spot.
And I think the pressure will start to build up tomorrow now. The longer he drags this out, the harder it's going to get for him. Is all the bases that, I mean, he's got this base on the left-hand side. I'm just looking at the 9 o'clock. These spawn crawlers, spine crawlers, they're doing a lot of damage. But hold up, thought, as MorroW moves in.
And it looks like the Ultralisk did manage to push the tanks back by quite a bit, but MorroW, I think, very smartly pulls back in the last second. Look at this tank count by ServyOa. Just so many units, plus 2 armor, 4 infantry, almost finished as well. Another medevac drop flying right by the only unit that can pick it off, the Infestor. So there will be a few beach balls getting thrown down to take down that medevac.
Yeah, I mean, that's, actually the medevac survives with the 4 Marauders in it. Is he gonna move it around? No, actually. The fight in the middle, though, using the neutral parasite on the tanks to try and help damage this around, but I'm not sure. It looks like there are just too many tanks, and the infantry is going to clean this up.
And it looks like 170 food still for our Terran buddy ServyOa, and MorroW, who a lot of people thought were going to be the #1 player in his group, is in a very tough position in this first game. ServyOa just playing so brilliantly.
Yeah, very strong Terran play by Serv, and he is moving up once again. And I love the sensor towers in this map, really giving him that sight. And because his main is that exposed, as you were saying, if a drop did come, you'd see it and be able to react a lot sooner to it. But now, this is the killing blow, I think. I just don't think that MorroW has enough. He's going to try and drop his units onto this, but I don't know if he can do it.
Uh-oh, and now he's slowly advancing forward. Where are all the Marines? They're hidden underneath these medevacs, and there's... Oh no, he left half his army up at the top, and he loses the Ultralisk in the Overlord and is trying to unload on everything. Very nice attack by MorroW. He might be able to break through, but the tank line just extends back a little bit too far, and ServyOa does the final cleanup, and MorroW still so far behind his opponent in the food count.
Yeah, 160 now to only 80 food. It looks like this is the end of MorroW in the first game of this group stage match. A good game,
There's
well played.
There's the good game, well played. Wow, MorroW pulling the Zerg card in this first game, but unable to really see it through.
Yeah, I mean, he really wants to play Zerg. He's been trying to train it up for so long, but